Right, hi guys. I'm here with my man Julian Stazma.
Hello.
And he's very kindly agreed to have a little chat. So here we go. First off, what do you find more fun, creation or playing out?
I guess I like both as much.
Equally, yeah?
For different reasons, but
yeah, of course.
I really like taking time to polish stuff in the studio, but I really enjoy like smashing them up on stage.
Because it's very different, isn't it, when you've got a crowd in front of you interacting with the stuff you've already done, or when you're thinking about how to improve a track in the studio and it's still in progress, right?
It's more like you're just fighting your own brain in the studio to make like decisions and stuff. But on stage you don't make much decisions. It's more like I make it in a way that I don't have to make decision on stage unless like smash that button, that button, that button. Make sounds
Okay, so that leads on to another question. When you play a live set, how structured is it before you start?
Basically the whole set list is ready. I prepare a set. I usually prepare different set lists for each new show. Even though I could play the same exact one, it would not be the same set because there's lots of improvisation on the drums and stuff like this.
But you always slide in new tracks for each set and change your set list. Yeah, me too. Yeah,
and I usually put a few spare that, for example, if I don't feel like playing one, skip to the next one or stuff. Like
of course.
I don't have to play.
Right. Very much like a DJ with a record box. You don't follow a set necessarily. You see what the crowd.
I usually follows it. I usually don't. I have to confess that when people book me, I'm just like, okay, they done their job. If I'm there to play what I play. So I'm not.
But you must see that certain tracks get different reactions from the crowd. So presumably you're motivated on a big stage, for example, just to play the bangers, right?
Yeah.
But perhaps
it depends. I like to be how to say. I like to do the opposite of what I'm supposed to do as well.
Okay,
A fun example was once I played at the Dominator Festival in Holland. Massive gabber thing.
Fantastic.
And as it's like 100% hardcore event, it's like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna play 30 minutes of jungle with zero hardcore kick drums in it.
Legend.
And I cleared the room. Like it was like a massive tent with maybe like 800,000 people.
Oh my
God. And there was maybe like 20 people left.
Agent of chaos.
But the 20 left, they were on the front like, yes! Jungle, thank you. Yes. So I was like, I play for you guys. And as soon as I started to put some kick drum again, everyone went back in.
Oh yeah,
it's Holland. They like their kick drums over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one of the interesting sides of music is the hybrid between different styles.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the gabber kicks and the crossbreed kicks with the drum and bass breakbeat, which gives it the speed and the lick and that treble content that sometimes you don't have with a hardcore, because it's busy with the low end, and the drum and bass is often busy with a high end, and then you've got the bass line that drops underneath. So I think it's a great combo because you're getting the energy from both worlds, and it's coming at you at once in real time. So
definitely.
And it's fun in the mix because you can jump these different flavors with the pass, and it just brings.
You do it quite well, actually.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that I really enjoy is mixing, and that was why I asked you the first question: do you prefer creation or prestation? You know, and I think for most creative artists, this is something that. Some people, for example, I know are very, very good in the studio, but don't like doing gigs. Yeah, sure. And some people just do gigs and
don't like being in the studio.
Right. You know,
it's two different.
So again, it's like art. Everything's personal. Everyone has their own flavor,
But also, I'd say that even though I really like the studio, I couldn't live without playing live. I mean, for example,
it's frustrating if you don't play live.
The COVID period was like
terrible.
As soon as someone called me, like, I'm doing a birthday party in the field. Do you want to come and play? I was like, yes,
yes,
I'm coming right now. Where is it?
That's it.
Is it today? No. Fuck.
Yeah.
it's
well, that was
liberating. You know what I mean?
Okay, man. Well, let's talk about that COVID period for a moment, because like it messed up musicians' hard style. It messed up organizers. It messed up sound systems. It messed up DJs, venues, bookers, people trying to get a tour together. And then, of course, all the spin-off preparation time.
There's deer in the field. That's what
all the spin-off preparation time for planning an album, for actually recording it and everything goes on hold, because if you can't see when your next gig is, there's no point bringing out an album in the dark, as it were. You know, you need some a release and then some gigs to follow, and if that can't happen, then everyone delays their shit. So one of the interesting spin-offs of this time period was a lot of people went into the studio and just focused on making good music, and so I think actually as a result there's more now that is of more diverse character, which is always great. I mean, we were talking last night about how at the beginning of the electronic music scene it was one sort of acid house basically coming out, and then in the years it evolved, and we saw the first drum and bass, and we saw the first hardcore, and we saw all of the other styles emerge, and it's been a very interesting journey for electronic music. And of course now we get to like the real fetish styles and subgenres, and like the speed breakcore,
subgenres.
Right, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's all music trying to make you feel emotion. And this is, I think, where some people get caught up in following a genre rather than using their ears and their sort of musical heart to say whether that resonates with them, or that gives them the adrenaline they're looking for, or makes them chill if they're looking for chill music rather than our sort of bangers, you know. So that's another great thing, and I often compare to art, because no two people like the same painting as much as each other, or the same sculpture as much as each other. It's the same with music, right? Everyone has their own flavour. And outside of electronic music, I do a recording studio where loads of different groups of different genres come in, and I get to record them and do their album. And it's always a breath of fresh air when you've got a cohesive tight band of musicians. It doesn't matter really what style they're playing, if they're keyed into each other and it's musical. There's an energy and a spark there that's almost unquantifiable, but you can tell when you listen to it. You know,
for me, like all the subgenre thing, there's a part of it that I don't like, is it's kind of a branding.
Right,
like
right. I agree.
Dubstep guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy, you know, even there's even that with the breakcore scene, for example, with some breakcore people who are just like breakcore. For me, it doesn't make any sense, as I've never really thought that this was a genre of music. For me, like breakcore is more like a group of people doing weird stuff. Because you have,
it's like the Amen fetishists.
Exactly. And usually the people who are like breakcore, and it's usually just like gabba kick and Amen breaks, you know, which is not really the main purpose of it for me.
I mean, the thing about destructuring the music as well is like when you listen to some of this Ibiza house and shit, right? You know exactly what's happening there. You can anticipate absolutely everything. Nothing's a fucking surprise, you know? And then the antithesis of that is breakcore, where you don't know what's happening next. You don't know how that break's going to be denatured and repurposed to make it have the sonic characteristics of the original, but be played in a form that hasn't yet been done. And that's what often I'm looking for, is to try and manipulate a break so that I personally haven't ever had a record with that break on, even though it's sampled from something that everyone knows, or you know, you can't get away from the Amen, for example, you know.
It's always efficient.
So much as it's a love and hate, it's a love and hate with the Amen.
Oh man, but for me it became like, so I had a talk with someone, I don't remember who that was, but someone was like, I don't listen to any music with Amen breaks anymore because.
Well, I purposely did a whole album without the Amen break.
I mean, you can for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, like any breakbeats, actually, it's like a guitar now.
Right.
To me, it's just an instrument. Like you can do so much with just a breakbeat in a sampler or software that it's just a piece of sound. That
I think that's a good analogy because working with a lot of guitarists, each and every one has their own tone and their own way of playing, as well as their own guitars, often custom, custom pickups and
pedals.
They like the flat strings or like the round strings, and then they got their choice of amp and how likely they are to drive an input to that with pedals or just take it straight in. So each and every guitarist, you can say as a generalist thing, okay, they play guitar, but it doesn't mean shit when you think of how many thousands of different tones they can get. And I agree with breakbeat, it's very, very similar. That's a good analogy. I like that.
If you just if we go further into this analogy, if you just take the samples and put it in a looper and just play it like you're just like took a basic guitar and play clean, just like easy going, but then you can add effects on it, like crush it, decompress it, distort it,
and even the glitch plugins,
and resample it, and re-glitch it, and repurpose
That's right,
it.
Man.
Could make. I'm sure I could make an album with only EDM and breaks.
Yeah, of course,
and some effects.
And many people have. Probably, absolutely. But so moving on to the vibe that you try and recreate with your tracks. Is there anything in particular that you always have as like a go-to goal for a finished track? Not
really, actually. I'm not. How to say that? I'm more like I usually, especially since I started to work with lots of hardware, synth and stuff like this. It's usually just like I go to the studio, I decide to use usually one piece of equipment, start to mess around with it, and then if I come up with something I like,
these discovered sounds that you're using, right?
And if I come up with something I like, it's like okay, record it, and then add things on top of it, and build a track like that. I don't plan much.
Okay. Well, I've got an interesting method. Again, using hardware, is to playing at tempo, just keep going, tweaking, just freestyle. And then listening back and getting a section of that, going, okay, that sounds fantastic just for that bar or those 4 bars or whatever. And that way, you've got a choice of original content.
Sure.
So you can use it like an instant sample bank if you like. So I do that.
I also do, like, for example, when I'm stuck in a track, one of the things that I do a lot is, especially with Modular, you can do like very complex sounds that evolves on themselves. Basically, you just create a little environment and you leave it to make its whole life.
That's right.
And usually I like to do that for fun
because it can suggest another sound or
also,
break.
Usually I just record. I press record. I start to patch and make sounds, and in the end, there's always at least 10 sounds you can just cut.
There you go.
And they make, and sometimes it's like, what can I put there? And what's the last thing that I recorded? And you always find some weird sounds. Okay,
that's right.
What happened if I put it there, or put it in a sampler and play them like this?
And I like the fact that if often when I do that, I can find a kind of question reply in the synth that I've recorded, so I can take 2 sections that contrast or partner and use that. So that's definitely part of the fun creative process, and literally nothing to do with playing live to people. So again, that's an interesting part of studio work that certainly is digging deeper into the creativity, but also I find that changing 2 parameters at once on a synth does a lot more than just one. Right?
Sure.
And so you got 2 hands and you got a hardware array of pots in front of you. So often doing these sweeps and these manipulations does give you a better end product sound, more interesting, more complex.
That's also why I love modular synth. In particular, is that you have so many modular. Basically, you multiply your hands. You have 10 hands.
And then you can add an LFO on top.
It's like, okay, let's put this together, and you end up with the. And also, you can do it without modular synth. I mean, in software, you can do it as well. But something that people, I guess, people who start making electronic music don't think about much is to modulate. Instead of modulating the sound, you can make a very simple sound. But if you modulate all the things that modulate that sound,
right.
like the length of the envelopes and stuff, if you modulate that, you get like crazy results very fast.
Well, you know, this is one. So moving on to the topic of DAWs, one of the reasons that I use Reaper is that any parameter or audio
everywhere,
can be a trigger for anything else.
Yeah.
And the routing is basically an infinite universe. So you can use even a parameter of a plugin to change another parameter on a different plugin on a different track and everything. It's like fantastic for that.
I also use Reaper, not for making music, but for mixing and mastering.
Okay.
But
I've moved on to using Mixbus now for mastering.
Yeah.
It's fantastic from Harrison. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Ah, really good. Mixbus 32C it's just got a rich low end. It's just a full sound. And,
because they model the console, right?
They model their console, yeah. And they've been doing digital for a long time, and this is like the 8th, I think, version 8.1 now of their soft, which is good because they've been improving it considerably. And I just added clip launch as well, which is fun. So it's taking on a little bit more of a kind of tracker side to it, as well as the straight up recording and analog console emulation. But the mix engine is fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never tried it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a...
Well, I am a Reaper fan, and for those who don't know, the BBC in the UK use Reaper.
Yeah.
So if it's good enough for the BBC, we're fine, right? They are known for, like, apart from Abbey Road Studios, like apex quality.
I have a BBC compressor actually.
Nice.
The brand Calrec.
Yes, I've got Calrec microphones. Yeah,
I have a Calrec compressor. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're
quality. It was like I was looking for. At some point, I wanted to buy one of the mini mixer they do, but they're quite expensive. But I was just like,
they are an expensive brand.
Always like trying to find this mini mixer online for a while. And by looking at this, I found like one. I think it was on Le Bon Coin, like the French eBay.
Perfect.
And I found this guy selling this compressor. I think it was €800 something. And I was like, it looks cool. It's a bit expensive, but and I looked like on eBay. It was like
thousands.
At least double.
Yeah.
And so, no, I won't buy that. I don't. I already have some hardware compressor. I don't need it. And I kept coming back to the thing, And after like 2 months, it never sold. I was like, okay, let's go for it. And I don't regret it at all.
There you go, man. Yeah. Sometimes
actually it's two stereo compressor in one rack.
Okay.
So
that's even better.
Yeah, it's even better.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So that's moving on to another topic you just link up to is hardware versus software. Where do you stand on this?
Both at the same time.
Right, me too. Me too. And so for compression, for example, would you reach for a VST or would you reach for?
It depends on what. Like for mastering, for example, I would prefer to use hardware.
Me too.
And for mixing,
in fact, I use both.
Yeah.
So
I also use some software compressor as well, not mastering. But for the final thing, I prefer the hardware. But for mixing, I use shitloads of software ones.
Yeah.
I also use usually when I want to do something very extreme, I tend to use the hardware. Like smashing drums or stuff like that, because I find that it's usually in the extreme situation that the software start to be a bit less good sounding.
Right. When you smash a piece of software, the algorithm says no. Yeah. Basically.
Well, it depends. And sometimes the fact that it doesn't really make it well can be cool. Can also be creative. But it depends. But
well, obviously there are advantages to plugins. For example, if you've got multiple tracks you want to put a compressor on, but you've only got one compressor in the rack, you can't, right?
You have plugins to go one by one,
right? Yeah. So of course, at the end of the day, we're not looking to inconvenience ourselves with this. It's whatever works in the situation.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But there's a lot of people who, I think, go too far in this argument. Because there's obviously the true analog heads, and frankly, no one can afford all of that gear.
Yeah.
Love it, but can't afford it. And then of course loads of people working in the box, but there is a problem working in the box, as you alluded to, is that when everything gets too hot, it's suddenly changing how the DAW engine reacts. And when you get near the processing limit, so you look at your performance meters and they're jumping around 80-90%, you know that there's going to be maybe dropouts or glitches, or something's not going to sound right, reverb tail's going to disappear, or you know. So there are limitations that you have to know for plugins. And for example, I've got a UAD system, and I know with the Neve compressor that if I drive it too hard, it's not going to sound as musical as if I just tickle it. Right. Whereas other compressors that are, for example, more along the lines of like tape emulations, you want to drive them hard to get those harmonics to pop out. So you know, you have to know your plugins for sure, just like you have to know your rack. But at the end of the day, the convenience of just loading up something.
I mean, if you want to work fast, plugins. If you need to work fast, and, if you have time, it depends.
So that moves on to, do you have plugins on your mix bus when you're creating?
No.
You do it all dry? And then master?
Basically, when I pseudo mix when I do the track, like I do a bit of EQing, and usually I also, as I record I don't use VST instruments anymore though. It's been ages I haven't used one. And I only use hardware synth, and I record them through a console. So I usually do a bit of EQing when I record them.
I always try and record a sound I want rather than something I need to mess with later.
And so then it's recorded, and so I mix the thing a bit as I go, but I know that in the end I will export everything back and put it into Reaper, because I do that in Ableton, and then I put everything
so you're actually creating an Ableton. Right.
And in the end it will be mixed, like properly mixed, thinking only about this, about mixing and not touching the track itself.
And so when you take that finished track and import it into your live set, are you taking it as a multi-track into your live set?
I basically I do 4 bus, like drums, like the how to say, like
drums,
the main drums, like
vocal, and effects.
I have this drums like kick, cymbals, big snares and stuff like this on one channel. All that is break beats and fast stuff on another channel, and then bass and all the rest of the
leads and all of
because
that.
I need, for the license, I need to access the breaks separate from the big kick and stuff like this.
And presumably that gives you the opportunity with effects to apply that to any channel. So that you've got that flexibility. This is what I used to do with a live set, and I was carrying around a crazy amount of equipment, rack full of synths, and a computer with the old style TV screen monitors, and a Mackie 24 track, and I had something like 200 MIDI connections and power cords and like audio, and then basically it'd be like, hang on, why don't I just turn up with a box of records? What am I doing?
I mean, I did the opposite. Because as I started on computers, and then started to buy hardware and stuff. And since I started by side project Repeater that I played yesterday, it was like the first time I did it was really like packing all the stuff, and suddenly realized this is why people stopped using hardware.
That's right. You have these moments, but at the end of the day, very glad that people still do. And of course it's a lot more fun to grab a hardware synth than it is to put your finger on a trackpad of a bloody laptop.
I really came to the point where I need to work on computer for music, but everything I can avoid to make on computer, I will.
Well, look, man, there's a huge difference in performance value for someone standing behind a laptop and poking at it, and people actually using machines and interacting. And I've seen video clips of you holding up your controller as you're showing the crowd what you're doing, and they love that, man. There's great interaction, and that is just, for me, the difference between some guy behind a laptop and someone literally doing it. And that it's almost like the living proof as you're doing it. I love that.
There's also this thing of because it's really hard to come up with a way of playing electronic music live. There's no rules, so you just have to come up with your own stuff.
Right.
And, but the more, I mean, some of the artists that are doing the more action on their sound are usually the ones that basically make like code live or stuff like, because they can, like Outtaker for example, they do nothing that you can see. You know, they're just like, but they have their solution is to do it in the dark. Or you do it with videos or stuff. You know, you have to come up with something that people can relate to a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you've seen some of these video walls that they do on the dubstep festivals and stuff.
No.
It's just fucking incredible.
Yes, incredible. That look like it's 3D, but it's
like
not. Yeah,
that sick and all that. It's amazing. Yeah. Ah, shit, man. Some. So yeah. And of course the live show from Amon Tobin.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you see that and you're like, well, that's it. That's it. You can't get better than that. That's
one of the guys
visually amazing.
It's really minimalistic but one of the guys I really like for the music and video connection is Ryoji Ikeda. You know this guy?
No, I don't know.
Japanese glitch noise artist.
Okay.
And it's very like it's sort of Square Pusher but with only clicks. Like.
Okay, yeah.
But everything he does, there's also the videos of the sounds, and it's like only black and white flashes and little parasite.
There's one for epileptics, yeah,
but
brilliant.
It's awesome. It's really awesome, and but it's anti-epileptic.
Yeah. Find out if you've got epilepsy. Here, let me put this album on for you. Yeah, brilliant.
If you survive watching this for 5 minutes, you're good.
All right, man. Cool. So moving on to another thing. Do you prefer small events or do you prefer big events?
I will sound like the guy that always say both, but no. If I have to pick, I prefer small ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I love.
You get more.
Yeah, I love
personal
the
interaction.
big ones.
Yeah.
But usually they're a bit more impersonal, of course.
Have to be.
Yeah. But it also depends. It also depends what you define by big. But I guess, like for example, this year the Bankface Weekender is a big event,
huge.
But it felt like a small. It felt like a small one.
Okay.
It felt like family all around. You know, like
cool,
you know
man.
everyone, and everyone's like and it was really like the best of both, because it was big, but it felt like it was a family meeting. You know.
Nice.
But I prefer like the small, because you can talk to everyone. I like to talk with people after the set or even before and after.
Well, it's human connection after all. You know, we're here to like not only provide music and everything, but participate in each event and share ideas. And I think part of the original opening of acid house to cultures blending and opening up and discussions between people who wouldn't otherwise meet, but because they enjoy the same music, they're at the same events. You know. And I think the social factor of music has always been, thousands of years, super important. And just because we're on an extreme limb of a sub culture doesn't mean it's any less important than the human connection, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool, man. So is there anything else that you want to chat about? Because I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, me too. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks very much, and bonne continuation, as they say.
Merci beaucoup.
It's been a total pleasure, man.
Same here, man.
Thank you.